Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I am your host, Rody John, and today we talk to NWA star Alex Taylor. We talk about how he got into pro wrestling, the NWA, and working out. Don't forget, NWA 75 is happening this weekend, August 28th and 29th from St. Louis, Missouri. I did say Nashville, Tennessee last episode, and I was wrong. It is St. Louis, Missouri, where all of the action and the history is made. But also don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. It comes out every Tuesday and Thursday with our episodes. And you get to find out even more about our guests and all about your favorite podcast. It's all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Alex Taylor. I would like to welcome to the show Alex Taylor. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So for those listening, just so they get some kind of a mental picture, where are you at right now? What's going on around you? So that way people can kind of get an idea.
Well, I'm sitting in my apartment here in beautiful Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Beautiful. So you're, from what I know, you're neighbors with Jeff Jarrett as well.
I think he might live in a nicer part of town than I do, but I do see him at the gym occasionally.
Nice. Yeah, I have heard he is definitely on the lake and has been there for quite a while. So.
Yeah.
Now, what is your first memory of pro wrestling?
For as long as I can remember, it was always on the TV on Monday night. So Nitro, I guess. Sting, the NWO.
Who would have it on for you at the house?
Oh, my dad. We never miss. Still to this day, every Monday if I go over to the house, he's watching it.
Now, were you guys one of those homes that would flip back and forth between WCW and WWF?
No, it was always WCW for us. I remember there was a weird little gap when WCW ended where like we didn't watch wrestling. But at the same time, I'm like 6 when this is going on. But I remember when we finally started watching Raw, it was just different. I remember seeing the Big Show and thinking that's the Giant. What's he doing here? And I don't know. It was strange times.
Yeah, it worked opposite for me. It was, so I grew up on WWF, but I was flipping through the channels one day and I just saw Dustin Runnels and I was like, what's he doing? Is there another wrestling? There's more wrestling out there? And then of course, I'll show my age here. I went and grabbed the TV guide and figured out, all right, I'm on this channel at this time. Like, what is a WCW? So that was fun to just get it in early 90s when I found out that there was more wrestling than just WWF out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, my dad's from South Georgia, so I assume there was a lot of that holding out Southern wrestling kind of thing. He didn't. But me, I've always loved it all. So whatever's on, I'll watch it.
Yeah. When did you figure out there was more wrestling than WCW and WWF?
I guess I couldn't tell you a year. I was probably in middle school flipping channels, and I saw TNA. I remember
that's right.
Yeah, first match I ever saw TNA was The Naturals and America's Most Wanted, which is wild. I told Chase Stevens that before, and he tells me to shut up. But funny to know those guys. And
so and you did amateur wrestling in high school, right? Is that correct?
I did not. No, we didn't have an amateur program at my school. I played football, but
okay. Well, those pictures are not you on Google. I will tell you that right
now. Google can be deceiving.
Google and Wikipedia can be very deceiving. A lot of people think they know everything because they put it in either one of those things, and most of those things are wrong. So it's always fun to see where people get their information from. Now, when you finally made that leap when did you decide, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to be a pro wrestler?
Well, I guess it was always an idea, a dream floating around in my head. But after high school, when I didn't get any scholarships to play football, that was kind of depressing. So I decided I was going to try the college thing. I ended up going to the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga. And I did that for like a year, and I hated it. School was, I should have tried harder, but I was not the best student. School just wasn't my thing. And so I moved back home after a year, working crappy jobs, and decided I'm going to go be a wrestler. So I looked around at schools for a while. I was looking at OVW, looking at a place in Georgia, and one day my buddy stopped me. He's like, hey, Seth Rollins opened a school in Iowa. And that night I looked it up, applied, and the rest is history. I moved to Iowa. And
so I talked to somebody else who also went to the school, and they are from another part of the country as well. What was the kind of culture shock like moving to Iowa? Because it can be very cold. From what I've heard, it is very windy, and it's just a much calmer, I suppose, atmosphere as opposed to if you grew up anywhere else, in like bigger cities or most of the other places in the country.
Well, as far as like the culture of it, it wasn't much different than Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
That didn't shock me much, but the first time I got there it was like a snowstorm, and I was driving around my 97 Isuzu Rodeo with bald tires. That was scary, but other than that, I mean, Iowa wasn't much of a culture shock for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was just cool to be there, be in a wrestling ring for the first time, those kind of things.
What was your first bump like?
The bump, it's hard to, it's been so long now, but I remember hitting the ropes the first time was a shock. Like taking a couple of baseball bats to the back.
So I've seen people everybody, I guess, kind of takes the ropes a little differently. Some people will put their arm and their hand back. Some people just go full on. Like, did you try both ways, or did you even know there was more than one way to hit the ropes when you did it?
I mean, we were taught, put the arm back, in case something, the ropes break, something to catch yourself. But
right.
Yeah, I've seen, like how Flair takes the ropes. It's because on the side. I think it's because he broke his back, but
sure.
No, just hit him flat, hit him hard, and that's how we were taught.
Did you have to work at the coffee shop when you were there as well?
No, I don't. See, I was the second class, so I don't. They got a lot going on. We didn't have. They actually have their own location now. We were inside of a CrossFit gym. We would set the ring up every night in the corner and do that, which was great. I loved it, but it's really cool to see what they have now.
Yeah, I've seen. I haven't been there, but I've seen the pictures and videos, and it is, he wants to do kind of, I imagine, what WWE down in the Performance Center wants to do, like roughly a replica of that. Obviously not to the size, but something in Iowa that people want to come out to, like Lance Storm's when he had his out in Calgary, and then we've got we got Glenn Jacobs and Dr. Tom's place in Tennessee there. So, I mean, there are still really good schools that are being put together and like not just, shitty warehouses somewhere. Yeah.
We've got a lot of great places around here. A lot of shady places, but a lot of great places too. It's not hard to find a good days.
Yeah. I mean, the carniness will always be there, so you always have some shady people going on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you started with NWA roughly, 3 years ago now?
That sounds, about 2.5, I guess. It's hard to,
yeah. I mean, and pandemic times are. So, I love the NWA so much, and I love that Billy Corgan is behind it as well, because I remember before the whole TNA situation, he had a independent company in Chicago that was doing really well, and people were starting to talk about it. And then, he went on to the Impact, and then obviously went on to buy the NWA, and I've been a fan of his since Smashing Pumpkins. So I love that the NWA still has that beautiful mixture of nostalgia and obviously the future of pro wrestling. How did you first get in contact with NWA, and then how do you think things are going there?
My first, let's see, so Danny Deals, I've known Danny Deals since I started wrestling. He saved me from some shit show in Middle Tennessee. He told me to come with him the next week to a show that Crimson was putting on.
Okay.
So I got in the car with him, making connections, and actually Crimson's the one who got me on my first NWA show. I just messaged him one night because I saw that he was kind of booking the guys to do the extra work and the ring crew, and I was like, hey man, whatever I need to do to get on that, to get an opportunity, and he hooked me up right away. So I can never thank those guys enough. They kind of opened the door for me.
I love so much what the NWA is doing, and especially, with the kind of still studio feel, but it's the, throwback studio feel, and it looks so great. And, he's doing just the random pay-per-views, which is always good too. And, you were part of a great faction. And what do you think it is for having the key to a good faction? Because a lot of, we've seen a lot of bad ones over the days. What do you think is the key to kind of having a really good faction?
With the Ill Begotten, we had deals. He can sell ice to an Eskimo, and Funky's the muscle, and I'm the good looks. So I think we had it all. That makes sense.
Yeah. You do obviously keep in very, seems to be peak physical condition. What does your normal kind of workout routine look like throughout the week?
I usually train 5 to 6 days a week. It's mostly just like old school bodybuilding kind of stuff. I tried the CrossFit thing when I was doing the Black and Brave. It's okay. It's not really my kind of. I didn't love it, but I gotta say I was in the best shape, like cardiovascular wise, I've ever been in when I was doing that. But I'm more of a bodybuilding style guy.
No, I can understand that. I've done some CrossFit, and yeah, I kind of will design my workouts mostly around like bodybuilding, like you're saying, like work on individual muscles, this one today, this one tomorrow. But I also work so fast, like I'll do supersets all the time, that I've had a personal trainer say, you're creating your own cardio as you're doing it. So when I put my stuff together and people will see it and like, oh, so you kind of do CrossFit stuff. I was like, no, it's just, I do things so fast that you can probably imagine it's CrossFit, but it's not.
Right.
Yeah. Plus you have to be in more shape because ring shape and, gym shape are completely different things. So I guess explain what your cardio is for some people that don't quite understand, yeah, they look good, but no, they also have to work for, 10, 15, 20, 30, sometimes hour long matches.
Normally it's a lot of burpees, stuff like I'll do some treadmill, some bike work. I tore my shoulder while I was in Australia.
Ooh, I saw that.
My cardio right now, I haven't been able to do burpees or anything like that. So it's just been a lot of treadmill, a lot of bike. But you can't really replicate it unless you're in there. So it's just being in the ring, doing stuff like that. So I'm interested to see how Crockett Cup, how my wind's going to hold up. It'll be over a month since I've been in the ring. So hopefully it comes back to me.
Just gonna be like riding a bike. As soon as you get back in there, you'll have no issues.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to creating a move set and finishers and all that, what kind of who did you kind of pick and choose from as to what you wanted to do for moves or signature moves and putting all those together?